Hi. Okay, so just gonna get right into it. I haven't posted in a while, and I've been kind of fluttering on what kind of topics I want to talk about. I'm gonna go over a few, but not very in depth. So the first thing I like to talk about is there's this major thing about social media, and although I don't really like all the hype about social media, I I feel like there's a lot of connection between things that don't matter. Um, there's a lot of Instagram models and oh, I want to be like that, or the diets and weight loss and gym exercises are to look like certain models or to be Instagram worthy. And so I just feel like we're basing a lot of our validation on other people's likes about our bodies. And that even goes for the body positivity movement, and that goes the other spectrum, saying you better like my fat body or I don't feel loved. And that doesn't say anything very well either. I mean, that's not good either. And so that's the parallel I'm finding, where we go to one paradox and the and one extreme to the other. And I do feel it's been fueled by social media with Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, um, and TikTok, especially TikTok, because their algorithm likes pretty people. Um, and so I find it kind of I don't understand that need, because I never really got into that whole, like, I grew up before social media became very popular. I mean, that's when back when I literally graduated when MySpace started becoming a thing. So, like, I didn't grow up in the whole social media thing, and I didn't base my self-worth um, growing up with a lot of people liking me. I got really easy at that. So I don't understand that pull, but I do see it with other people, and I do recognize that is something that's important to them. And I just want to say, uh, if you watch this and want to be offended, I'd say you can be offended, but how about you reevaluate your priorities in life to think about what you want? Anyway, so in my weight loss journey, I'm in this group on Facebook, and um, I'm very ADD about this, because I did it when I was in a diabetics group. When I first got diagnosed with diabetes, it was helpful to join a group on Facebook, but then it became like none of you want to get better. Like you're just talking about meds and side effects and blood glucose monitors. And so a lot of that was like I wasn't relating, because I definitely wasn't on meds, and I worked my ass off to reverse my diabetes. And so a lot of it I couldn't relate to anymore. So I ended up leaving. And I actually left because I told the truth to somebody, and everybody was like, "Well, that's not fair." And I was like, "Well, nobody's going to tell you that's acceptable." And so I got a little backlash on it, and they like deleted my post or something, and I was like, "Well, great. You don't want to listen to the truth then." And I wasn't even mean about it. I just was simple about, look what the facts are. Like, you showed me a nutritional label, and I'm going to come out and call you out on that nutrition label. I mean, don't post your food if you don't want to get critiqued. But I end up leaving mostly because of that, and mostly because I wasn't relating to the group no more. Now my weight loss group, I almost feel like I'm not relating to it anymore, but I still am. I'm just not a very vocal, open person about my problems. So my current problem, and I know people have experienced this. This is not a thing here. Is that my weight loss was more successful? I want to say, I'm going to say successful and be very careful about this, because I'll come back to that. Was more successful when I wasn't going to the gym exercising. and, and what I mean by that is that my weight pretty much melted off as soon as I drastically changed my diet. When I found out I was insulin resistant, I ended up like removing sugar and sweets and carbs, and bam, like everything melted away. And that's 30 pounds. 30 pounds before I even entered the gym. And I used to have a gym routine prior to COVID, so like I understood the basics of like muscle gain and all that stuff and working different parts of the body on different parts of the day and all this stuff. And I just didn't have the nutrition and diet down very well. I gotta say, because I was a binger and I ate a lot of calories. So I definitely was, oopsie, I definitely was not maintaining it well. And, what was my point? Okay. So then I hit the gym and I realized that the muscle building that I started to do, because I was also strength training along with cardio. And a friend of mine on Facebook, um, pretty much got me started with the basics of like gym routines. And so I ended up only just starting off doing like 15 minutes of cardio, pushing it hard, doing a cool off on the treadmill, and then going and lifting weights. So I was not doing any more than 30 minutes of cardio. And then, backed by research, I don't need any more than 30 minutes of cardio. And I was like, okay, well, and then I just started working out what I did before, back and biceps, chest and triceps, and I blended together legs and abs. So I did my core and my butt and my legs all in one day. And so those were my routines. And then I'd have rest days. Um, but I did start to build up in muscle because I ended up going up in the weights. As I started out at a 20-pound barbell, and now I'm at like a 40-pound barbell. No, not the 40, 30-pound barbell. Although I'm almost going up in that. And I noticed on the machines that I've gone up in that too, where it used to be maybe 45, 50 pounds on the machines, but now it's close to like 60 to 70 pounds. And I've been pushing it, man. I've been gaining. And so I have noticed a little bit of loose skin, but not like sagging skin, just like more loose because the fat has been leaving me. And my midsection has disappeared almost. Well, not almost, I still have a belly. But I can't like, when I stand up, it's flatter and not like flabbier and voluptuous, I guess you can say. And I really have a long torso, so it ends up being a lot in my belly region. But I've noticed because I've been body checking every time I go use the bathroom. And yes, I say body checking because that's what I've been doing. I'd go in there and I'd look at and I'd do my side. I'm like, oh, look, I look better in these. So I've noticed a big difference in the pant size, my midsection, like the visceral fat is like disappearing, which is what I want, which is beautiful for reversing my diabetes. I'm all happy with that. I really am. And my measurements, I've been taking measurements because the scale is light. And that's one of the things I want to talk about is that October 24th, I was 271. I was like, sweet. I'm like almost at 270. I wanted to break the 270s. And then this past month, it has gone up to 275. And I'm like, but I'm not seeing it in my clothes. Like I'm still losing weight. I'm still losing my inches. And I'm like, what's going on? And I get the whole muscle weighs more than fat theory. And I didn't want to keep using that as an excuse. And so I'm like, well, I would like to see the number go down because 270 still isn't a good weight to be at, even if I am toned. So, and I'm not toned, I still have fat. So I'm like, what's going on? So I had to do some research. And the frustrating part is I'm trying to do the research. I know I guess the proper word for it is body recomposition. And that's when you want to tone um, your body, build fat and burn fat and build muscle. And then that was a whole big thing. But I will not lie to you, the frustrating part was that 98%, I'm just going to throw that out there because I don't know if that's really a true statistic, but 98% of the results on YouTube were about men gaining muscle and bulking up and ooh, and like do this to gain muscle and burn fat and all this stuff. And then it was all a big thing about testosterone and men and gains and supplements. And I'm like, you guys aren't even discussing the real topic that I really wanted to discuss. And then like they brushed up a little bit on female hormones and the ways they can add fat, but I'm like, you're still not covering what I'm confused about. And it's the same thing with online results. When I went to the web and I Googled it, yeah, Google, it was the same thing. Body recomposition. And it didn't really go into the whole fact that if an obese person works out and builds muscle, why are they not losing weight? And is it possible to lose weight on this exercise? Then I'm questioning, well, am I doing this right? Should I wait until I'm a certain BMI before I go into, lifting weights and stuff? Or should I do more cardio? Like, should I, the other day I did an hour of cardio and not did any weightlifting, and like my Fitbit was like, woo, I got like 100 zone minutes. I was so proud of myself. I burned so many calories. But I was more concerned about the muscle that I could have been losing. Like, not that I'm going to lose it in one day, because I ended up going back the next day and doing exercise with the weights. But I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Should I be increasing my cardio? All this stuff. So I'm trying to Google this information, and especially pertain to me as being obese, because I'm considered obese, and still considered obese. I've lost like 45 pounds on the scale, and I'm still considered obese. But I have lost a lot of visceral fat, so I'm happy with that. Trust me, my stomach is the best place, obviously, for women to lose weight at. And so that was one of the frustrating parts to me, was trying to figure that out online when all they thought I was asking for. And especially, the even more frustrating part is that everybody on YouTube that talked about that kind of topic were all fit and toned, and not one of them either had weight problems or ever had weight problems. And so, like, I'm like, they talked about their weight loss journeys, of course, but none of them really understood. I don't think a lot of them did like weight training, I guess you can say, that they did it when they got skinny. And so there was a lot of unrelatable content out there. I'm like, what is going on here? And because that's not my journey. I'm like, so it was more frustrating, because it was more, it's crazy that it's centered around men. It's like targeted a lot towards men. And if you're a woman, you get this little small sliver of topic on there. And so that's what was frustrating me. I was like, wait a minute. And so it's very biased in that manner, is that, oh yeah, men. And of course it is a logical scientific fact that men can lose weight faster than women. And I actually think it's because of the whole weight gain. Not the weight gain, but the whole testosterone that helps build muscle, and then they lose fat. I get that was definitely definitely a link. So I get how men can lose weight easier than women. That's just a fact. And I understood that muscle weighs more than fat, and I get that part. And I asked one of my friends on Facebook about it, because he's one of those like fitness gurus or whatever. And he never once really dealt with overweight people. So I don't think he understood what I was asking. But he was like, thanks for reaching out. But yeah, muscle weighs more than fat. Keep lifting weights. I'm like, well, that didn't explain my conundrum. Like, when am I going to start seeing the pounds go down? When am I going to see that reflected on the scale? And because I definitely see the fat disappearing on my body. Like, I do see differences in my body and stuff, but I'm not seeing it on the number on the scale. And a part of that was because we're so programmed to look at that progress. And I've seen it on in the weight loss group on Facebook, where they hold on a minute. Okay, so I had a slight distraction. Anyway, so a lot of it was really frustrating that I couldn't find the proper information. But here's what I gathered from what I gleaned on my search. And I had to piece it together on my own, because there was nobody that talked about this. And it was the fact that it's sort of having to do with body recomposition. I get the education behind that, but they weren't discussing that in topics of people who were obese and working out. And so that part to me was like, wait a minute. I'm still wondering about myself. Like, I'm not in that category you guys are in. So in body recomposition, when men want to gain, and I'm saying men because they were targeting men, they ask you to be in a calorie surplus, where they want you to eat a whole bunch of calories and then work out, and then the muscle can be grown from the fat stores of that surplus. And I guess having that fat, when they say bulk up, the muscle is grown from the fat surplus, I guess. This is my idea. I could be wrong, but this is what they were describing to me. And with an obese person, they already have a surplus of fat. They don't need to add the more calories because they already have it on their body. And so what I'm thinking is happening to me, even though I can't verify it online or anything like that, because nobody's talking about it, is that I have the surplus of fat. Obviously, I'm getting rid of visceral fat, and that is actually what's probably helping me gain muscle, and that's why I keep going up every week in my weights, is because my it's feeding off the visceral fat in my stomach, which I'm happy about because hey, it's healthy and I'm doing good. So what I'm thinking, I'm gonna sneeze. I feel a little tingly in my nostril. Um, was that that's what's happening to me, is that I have a bunch of fat stores. I have the flab, I've got all that, jiggly stuff, and especially in my midsection where most women do seem to carry it. Um, and plus mine's really hormonal, is that when I started to do weight training and I started to build muscle and go up and lift, really try to push myself to build those muscles, it the fat that I had, it helped in that muscle gaining. So I definitely am gaining muscle, and that's what I'm seeing reflected on the scale. And part of it could also be that maybe I wasn't getting really good sleep, because lack of good sleep also accounts for um, like retention. I want to say, where it makes sure it helps with the whole recovery process for your muscles and inflammation. Um, I guess how your body works. Because I really wasn't getting really good sleep either. Even on my Fitbit, I'm like, ugh, 3 hours, and I was only getting like 3 to 4 hour bits of sleeping and barely any deep sleep. Definitely not any deep sleep. And my Fitbit's been very good about helping me track that. In fact, that's why I got the Fitbit, was just to track my sleep, and now it's like really good at helping me track my weight, my fitness. Um, but that's what I feel like is happening, and I'm not. I would like not to be so focused on that number. And it's hard to switch that psychology on my head off. It's hard to take that mind and be like, it's just a number, because I want to see the number go smaller, and especially in a driven world where we're so likely to see it, like in the weight loss shows, and then especially on YouTube weight loss videos. And then you've got these people doing weigh-in Mondays and weekly weigh-ins and all this stuff, and then they do their starting weight, their current weight, and then their goal weight. And so that is very numbers driven. And I've seen what people make graphs of their, okay, if I do 60 pounds, 30 pounds, all this stuff, and like they have the colored chart of how many pounds they're going to lose a week and how many to get to their goal weight. But I feel like when you set, like, especially for me, if I set that, I mean, that sounds like fun. Like, yeah, I want to get out some colored pencils, do a little colored graph, and all the stuff, the beads in the jar and everything. It sounds like a fun idea, but I get discouraged. I'm like very discouraged about how um that goal wasn't, like, that weight goal isn't attainable when I'm gaining muscle. And like I'm not gonna see that reflection on the scale. So like, according to the chart that you make, you're not having any progress at all, but you're like still going down a pant size, and you're like, why am I not getting to my goal? And so that likely is the reason why I'm having so much frustration, is because I can't get over the numbers factor when we've been so conditioned to look at the numbers, and the numbers just aren't telling me what I want it to tell me. And so I'm trying not to get discouraged, but yes, I literally was getting discouraged when I went on the scale, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Like, this really sucks. What am I doing this for? Am I doing this right? And like, I can't keep blaming it on my period because I don't have one, and I haven't had one, and it hasn't fluctuated lately. And I'm like, so it can't be that. It's been over a month. How come I can't get back to 271 at least? Like, I'm getting really frustrated, but I still been working out at the gym, and I've still been gaining muscle. I've even been jogging, or trying to jog at least. I've been trying to mix up my routine a little bit to get my, because I think I'm plateauing, but that's also discouraging as well when we don't see the numbers change and like my body needs time to catch up to all that stuff. It needs time to readjust. And so a lot of that is just me trying to have patience with my body, but it's I know based on all the progress I've seen in the non-scale progress is that I'm doing right things. I'm still eating in my calorie deficit. I'm still burning the calories. I mean, my Fitbit tells me I'm burning like 2,500 calories when I'm not at the gym. And when I go and work out at the gym on those days, I'm burning like almost 3,400 calories, depending on how intense my workout is. And that says to me, like, I'm still only consuming less than 1,700 calories a day. Like, I'm still, I'm still in surplus, but I have learned the benefits of fat, the good fats in the diet. So I'm not afraid of fat anymore in my diet, but I do try to limit it because, like, it's not like I'm going to keep every meal a high fat meal. So I'm not afraid of bacon anymore. I'm not afraid of having oils to cook with. Like that is okay. I use olive oil technically because I heard of the anti-inflammatory benefits of olive oil. That's why I choose olive oil out of vegetable oil. And I have preferred that flavor more than vegetable oil. It just is less ooey. I don't feel less gross. Um, I do a lot of I've been trying to take care of my gut as well, especially if I've made like poor dietary choices that day and I'm like, oh my gosh, my gut's gonna hate me because I just ate what I don't usually eat. And so I've been taking care of my gut and I have been doing Greek yogurt and it's been like a non-fat, the Dan and Light and Fit Greek yogurt. I love that stuff. And I've also been doing the Kavita, digestion shots. I hate it because I don't like vinegar. Ew. Like, but it's just a shot. So I'm like, I guzzle that thing and I'm good. And it actually has helped in my digestion. I have noticed that I've had about better movements. So the same. But I just wanted to come out there and say that I haven't felt like I've been doing great. I have been discouraged. It's been kind of depressing. I've been kind of mentally exhausted about like, oh my gosh, I gotta go back to the gym. Or it's not like I don't enjoy it, and I definitely feel better after my workouts, but it's been like, is this really working? Like, is it really working? Because the numbers are trying to lie to me, and I'm trying not to get discouraged, but I just need to keep moving on. And this is probably where I'm hitting the plateau. And I gotta say, it is discouraging, especially when we're so conditioned to be looking at our numbers as progress. So part of me is just like, just push through, just ignore all these negative thoughts in your head, just push through, just keep going, just keep doing what you're doing, just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Like, so I'm here to tell you that I'm going to keep going, even though as of currently, I do feel discouraged. And I just want to let y'all know that that is currently where I'm at today. So I just wanted to get right into it, and that I hope y'all can relate that like fitness videos and fitness and bodybuilding and stuff are definitely geared towards men, and it's sickening to see because it doesn't relate to me at all. In fact, there was a video on there that like something about an obese guy building muscle to burn fat, and all the guy did was rant about how that fat guy was gonna die. And I'm like, but you're not talking about like what was it like for him to build muscle. Like, I thought that's what that video was gonna be. It ended up being like, he's gonna die, I just want to let you know. And like, it was just such a harsh judgment that I was like, I'm gonna click off this video. He's not even talking about like the journey that guy is going through. So I'm like, that's not helpful to me, considering that at least he's exercising. So I was like, what do you expect an obese person to do? Sit there and be sedentary the whole time? Anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that that is my frustration, and I'm really frustrated because I do like fitness and health. I am all about that now. Like my interests have geared more towards the fitness and stuff, and um mainly for myself, but I see that it affects a lot of like I gained a bunch of knowledge from fitness and nutrition by the research and education I've given myself, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people have done that for themselves, that they go on to these communities online and in social media and expect to gain all of this knowledge from people, but they're not putting in the effort to put that education in themselves. And I get really irritated. It's like, we can tell y'all it works for us, but until you go out there and put the effort in for yourself and educate yourself about your own body and where you're at in your journey, it's not going to help. It's just going to be a bunch of like, it's going to be like a tree full of like different fruits. Like, are you going to pick the right fruit? It's just really stupid to me. So I do encourage you to not just take my video um, for advice on weight loss or dieting, but definitely do the research yourself. I have been forced, because I'm a diabetic, to do a more ketogenic diet, even though I'm not following a definite keto diet. It's just that my food choices lean more towards ketogenic than they do anything else. So because I've had to increase the fat to surplus the calories, because I'm not doing carbs and sugar. So obviously I had to put fat in there, and I have learned that it's not bad. So depending on the choices, I'm not going out making fast food choices, because trust me, I want to do that today. But no, that's not the kind of fat I'm talking about. So just be aware that the information you're getting online can often have holes in it, like mine did. Like, oh my gosh, can you at least show me where an obese person is actually working out and finding the same difficulties I am? Because nobody talked about it. There's like no talk about that. There's no articles about it. There's none whatsoever. So I did find a few tidbits that mentioned something in a paragraph in an article, but it's literally not talked about. And so um, it is possible to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. So there's a debate about that amongst the bodybuilding community. Yes, it is possible, because I'm doing it. And I think it's because I have a surplus of fat stores for the muscles to grow and use that as fuel. So I'm definitely learning my way up, but they don't talk about this for an obese person. And that, I feel like that is just a big blind spot, because it's like you want these obese people to start getting fit and healthy, but you're not giving them the proper education for themselves. You're just giving them a basic education that has nothing to do with their body. And then they're like, well, of course I can't do that, because I'm not that skinny. I'm not that fit. Like, no, I can't do a sit-up. I haven't done it. I've been able to do a sit-up in decades. Okay, so the hell with burpees. Just saying. Yeah, burpees are a no-go for me. I'm just letting you know. I don't care how fit I get or how much fat I lose around my belly. There ain't no way I'm doing burpees. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Sorry it took almost a half hour, but I hope that you can relate to my struggle and understand. Thank you.